Didn't test or
Then they're
something.
like,
Yes.
hey, you need to log into your before we finally in the parking lot
A friend of
now.
mine works there.
I got some like The Keizer Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee, it is Thursday, August 15th. All right, first order of business is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes of July 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting minutes are approved from July. Next up, we have appearance of interested persons. This is working really well today.
People out there.
Mike Jaffe, are you here on your own or because I asked you to come talk to us about grants?
I'm here to support Beth.
Okay. Then I'm gonna put you a little further down, and Beth and, is it Tanya? Are you with them also? Okay. This is gonna be shorter than I thought. TJ, you crossed your name out. Are you TJ?
Yes, ma'am.
And you crossed your name out, okay. You're with the same group.
You wanted me to talk.
Well,
I was very confused by the sign up. Because I thought it says visitor sign in. I went, I'm visiting and I signed in. I didn't come prepared with anything, but happy to answer your questions.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for being here. Liam. Hi, Liam. Come on up.
Good evening, board members, and of course, Madam Mayor. I'm Liam Stitt. I'm actually the youth liaison to the Keizer Parks and Recreation Board. And this past Sunday, I actually went on a bike ride to visit all the parks in the city because I thought I might need to do that with my new position. So it was suggested to me that I actually come here and give some information to you about my bike ride. I noticed that for the most part the bike lanes and the like were really they were functional. I saw like nothing that like some of the paint, the white paint separating the bike lanes from the actual automobile lanes were. I noticed that on Dearborn, they were actually repainting some, so that was good to see. It was a very enjoyable ride, very pleasurable. I thought it was really interesting getting to see different parts of our city and all in all, it was very fun. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Hirsch?
In going to the parks, were there any specific ones that you saw that might need bike racks?
Might need bike racks. Willamette Manor, I checked all over. I didn't see any. I could have missed them, but at least from what I saw, Willamette Manor did not have any. That's all that comes to mind. Meadows might not have one, but I'm not too sure on that. But Willamette Manor, I definitely know does not have any.
The reason I asked that question is we, through the city, bought 15 bike racks from the CTEC Center, and they're in storage. And there was a problem getting them installed because we were hoping to have volunteers or really specific Eagle Scouts install them at the various parks. Specifically, we wanted some by the amphitheater at Keizer Rapids and maybe at Claggett and maybe others. The weather's getting to such that it's probably next year, but the rec, specifically Kevin Dial, has gotten plugged in and he has guaranteed that he'll help get them installed this next year. And so if there's any others that you think might need it, we could get racks there. So if you could also just mention that to the Parks Commission too. That we do have bike racks. We haven't forgotten them.
Sure thing.
The same thing.
Same thing, okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Just curious, you know, you were commenting on how good the paint lines were on Dearborn. Were there any main arterials that you felt didn't have adequate bike protection, or the timing of the lights could be better, or anything?
There was the intersection of on Shamala where it intersects between Celtic Way and Delight. The lights were, I passed by there once. It felt like perhaps it was just me, but it felt like the lights were very like short. It turned green, and then like I swear like 5 or 6 seconds later it then started to turn to yellow. But that could just be me.
No, I've seen that. No, I don't know about that specific one, but yeah, there are traffic lights that turn green, and without something keeping it green, it will go like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have questions? Liam, I guess, go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for taking the initiative to explore all of our parks in this way. About how long did it take you to go to all the parks? Did you do it in one day or in chunks?
Very good question. I was actually going to mention that and then I forgot. So I did it all this past Sunday. It took me about like just under 4 hours, and I covered roughly 16 miles. It was very fun. I packed a lunch and I ate it at Country Glen Park. So that was very fun.
All right, thank you.
Liam, we really appreciate you coming and meeting with us, and as you continue your bike rides, anything you think we should be aware of or brought to our attention, or good or bad, we'll be happy to hear and host you to come back again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then last on our list is Don Davis.
Matter which one I sit in?
Oh.
My name's Don Davis. I'm from the Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association. And I kind of wanted to report on the traffic light. First of all, say that I feel, being one that lives right on Alder.
Microphone.
Is your mic on? Could you push the button?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
So I wanted to report that I thank the Traffic Safety Committee for going to bat to help us get the lights. It was a little bit of a, well, it's been a long road. It took 2 to 3 years to make it happen. And then within the first 2 weeks, they broke down. And that was more than discouraging, but once we got it up and going, I just seen a vast difference, even in the summer. And that's where I thought, well, the summertime, they might, and there are still some, there's gonna be some that are always going to not pay attention to it. But I just wanted to thank you for coming to bat for us and sticking with it, because it was discouraging at times when we felt like, okay, it's gonna happen, and then they said it's not gonna happen. Or they just, you know, it took a long time before this happened. And so I'm grateful for your help with it. That being said, do we know where we're at as far as a traffic study? I'm curious to see, you know, what kind of difference is made. I know that they were supposed to do one as it came in, and then within 90 days or something like that. So we're curious where that's going, because we want to see if it's just my imagination Or is it
I-
really making a difference?
No, I'm really glad you brought that up. And according to my notes, it was installed in June, so I was expecting feedback next month from all parties with the traffic study. Well, you're a month early, so that's great.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm hoping. And Don, if we can request that for next month, if they have time, thank you.
We only got it in June?
What was the date? Well, hang on. Let me
Yeah, it
read
was, it
again.
was,
Yeah, on 6/20, the equipment was replaced.
that was when it was replaced, yeah.
Yes, so, and my bad, you're right. In, April, it was installed and
Yes.
failed? According to the notes from the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, and it
okay,
was on for
okay.
2 weeks and then out for like 6 weeks.
Okay, so that's why we reset the clock and
Oh, okay.
we'll
Good
make
enough.
sure
So
that
that is on the horizon then for them doing that?
it is, yes,
Great,
yes.
great.
Yes, Mike?
I have a question with that study. Is that going to be once school starts or is that before school starts? Because I think it would be instructive to see under both times, if they could do the study under both times.
Don, could you put that in your request? Thank you. To see
Yeah,
what,
that would be
when,
great.
if they're able to look at both times and see what kind of assessment. Good question. Anything else you can share with us while you're here?
Well, I've been, as I talked to the Mayor Clark at the Keizer Fest, I've been going around just within our neighborhood, and it's a big task of cleaning up graffiti where I see it and things like that. And as I mentioned to her, just getting more ability to do that, you know, the different paints, and it's quite a task. And one of the things that I did was I went to one that just bugged the heck out of me, over by KYKN. So it's on one of the buildings. And as I talked to our chairman, Ken Gerloff, he's like, I can't touch it. It's private property. And so, but one of the transformers out front, which was really bad, I did it. And the guy from KYKN, he says, you know what? JC Pizza owns it, you know, and so go talk to them. And I was able to, got their permission and do that. But I guess a question I have for you is, what more can we do? Because I just want to see, I want to have pride in where I live and in what I do. And is there more that we can do, more that can be promoted, whether it be through traffic safety committee or, you know, I don't know, so that can be promoted as far as turning it in. I mean, a lot of this stuff that, you know, that one's probably been there like 3, 4, 5 years or longer, where they're not taking care of it. They're not doing anything about it. You know, the one for example, there by JC Pizza, you know.
Do you want to take this one, Mayor? Do you have something to add?
I'll
Hirsch, you want,
let-
do you have it? Oh.
Mayor had it first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We always encourage people to report it, and if it's still there, report it again. We do have a form on our website, and it really helps our one code enforcement officer to be able to track something, especially if it fell off the radar, and notify the building owner, because it is their responsibility to get that off, and we do have requirements in that regard. So yes, please do report it on our website. Also.
So even report someone else's,
Yeah.
okay.
When you see graffiti anywhere, and we all know what it looks like, it's very, very distinguishable from art. And go ahead and report it and get it to our code enforcement, because then they can work with the owner, either of the building or the, in some cases, the utility boxes, to get a move on and get that cleaned up.
So if there's not enough of me to do all that, obviously, but if I do that, then that starts the clock ticking basically for them. Are they going to then check back and
Right.
everything?
Well, they won't check back
Is-
with you. What they'll do is that will give the information to
No.
our code enforcement to get onto the property owner, because they know who they are and they can get on them to get it cleaned up. So we need to encourage our property owners to take the same pride that you do in our neighborhoods and get their stuff cleaned up. So thank you for doing that, but we want them to clean up their stuff.
You make a good point in that, that they don't report back. In other words, when I turn something in, which everybody knows my red fence on Alder Street, including the taggers, but I make a point of it. I see it, report it, take a picture, and paint over it that day.
Yeah.
It would be nice, though, to be able to get, whether it's an email back or says, thanks for reporting this. I've reported things to code enforcement, for like the person across the street who hadn't mowed their lawn in years. And we had 105-degree weather, heaven forbid somebody lights a cigarette. But anyway, I turned that in another house, and then it's like crickets.
Yeah.
It's like, well, did it go through? Are they doing anything? And so I sent another email. I said, did you get this email? Is anything happening? And his response was, oh, I didn't know you wanted a response back. I mean, is there a way we can get a response when we report things?
Madam Chair, I will go ahead and talk with city staff about putting at least an auto reply so that the person who submits it knows that it went through. And that will at least let you know, yes, it got into the system. And then there is a time frame that the code enforcement has to wait for the property owner to respond. And that's unfortunately statutory, so they're not gonna be out there the same day, which we all wish they were, but they aren't sometimes. I had one that every time that the city sent him a notice to mow his lawn, he called his attorney. I kid you not.
But just the auto reply is great,
I like that, okay.
because
Madam Chair, I'll bump that up the chain.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hirsch, did you have more?
To add a little more, I happen to be the chair of the Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association. I haven't met you yet. And we have the exact same problem, and we've had been over to our area. And some of the things that we've been able to get it, I think, update the website that they had. One of our members is a web whiz and helped do some updating. So if you did this in the last month or two, should be better now. And hopefully we talked about automatically letting us know. So I hope Ben's already done that, but that's good that you're gonna mention. The other thing that you may not be aware of is the budget that's given to the neighborhood association. We can use some of that money for paint, for cover. Did you know that?
I just found out from Ken that he's working on that part.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
quite and
we-
Ben has kind of a list, a grocery list of what you can get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we already have a small kit that we're trying to put together, because we have the same problem.
Yeah.
Might be the same handwriting, I don't know.
I have the graffiti kit that I'm on my third or fourth bottle of, of the graffiti removal. But some of the stuff, I wish they'd use cheap paint. I love it when they use cheap paint because it comes off really easy. But
During the National Night Out, Ben came over with one of the police officers to talk, and that question came up in our National Night Out. And one of the things is there, not only is Ben doing some checking, and if we give him pictures, that becomes evidence, of course, and there is an assigned Keizer police officer that does some further investigations. And they're matching things up. Their forensics is fascinating when they started talking about stuff and knowing who it was, and it's almost like handwriting. So it's important that before you paint it, take pictures.
always do.
Okay. Thank you very much for doing that.
absolutely.
Mike?
The only thing I had to add about replying would be maybe add a checkbox if you want actual update reply rather than just automatic, hey, we got your thing. Like if you wanted to hear feedback on what they did.
Well, and that's, yeah, well, the first time I just sent it in, and there was 2 particular properties that were an issue. And it was the second time I sent it. And so it was like, okay. Then I sent the third one of basically saying, did you get this? What's happening with this? Do I need to do more? Because one of them was a house that, it was, I didn't know if it's abandoned or not. It was a complete jungle. And he sent the response back that says, we got it, we're looking into it. We went on vacation, came back the next week, and it was all cleared out. It was like the coolest thing, and I felt like, I just wish we'd have more members of the community just look out for each other and just, because that one to me was like, there could have been, it looked like if there wasn't a boa constrictor living back there, I'd be surprised. And it was funny, right after that, I was driving down and 3 raccoons came out of that property. And so, I don't know, that's all I had to report, but I'm grateful for, the opportunity to be here and to again, thank you for your support with getting that light in.
That's why we're here. Thank you. Anyone have anything else? Okay. Thanks, Tom. Oh, Mike has one thing for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, now that you got that light, have you guys talked about what's the next thing you want? Not necessarily right there, but what have you been thinking where you want another safety device or something?
Good question. We haven't necessarily thought of other areas. Hey, anything I could, Brooks, the corner is where I live. And being able to get, I think those, at least the ones that move around. I never see those in our neighborhood very often. And I know Brooks Avenue's a good example of one that there's nothing stopping them until they get to Candlewood. And that's part of the problem is that they know it's a straight shot and they'll come around and they'll start speeding. And so we hadn't discussed, I'm sure there's some other areas, but I'm glad you brought that up. But I know that's a big issue that we have on even some of the side streets and stuff like that. People will put up signs that's like, hey, there's kids around here. And unless there's something official, they just don't pay attention to those.
Have you reached out to the police department for the mobile speed feedback sign in that area?
I have not. I didn't know that was the process.
Yeah, I think
So-
Online.
Okay.
Online, you could just, I didn't know that.
I did it on Verta. I live on Verta, and they came out and put it up. It was, and it helped.
Good to know. So just contact the police.
It's on the website, keizer.org, and just find the link.
Okay, great. No, thank you for that.
The city's website has drastically improved in the last few months, that there's easier access and more information than there's ever been on it before, so.
Perfect. So I just go to, under the police department and it will be there. Okay, perfect.
If you have
Thank
trouble
you.
finding it, let us know and we'll see if we can discuss making it more accessible. I've reached out to Don multiple times on various scenarios like that.
I had no idea, so
Okay.
thank you so much.
Well, then thanks for coming and sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we leave number 3, Tammy Kunz, you're on the agenda. Do you have something to discuss? Okay. Nope. I think that was a holdover from last time. Perfect. Okay, and then I suggest we flip-flop 4 and 5 because I want to talk about the grant opportunities before we dive into the projects. And since I invited some folks here to talk about that with us, I want to respect their time. So if you wouldn't mind coming up, we have Beth and TJ and Tanya and Mike. The reason I asked them to come by is because I feel like I speak for myself, are disconnected from the grant opportunities. And I know part of our objective as the committee is to bring these to the city when we see these come available. And I have no idea where to look or when they're available. So I thought we could start putting a list together because I love my lists. And then every year as the calendar comes around to it, we'll know it's time to start discussing them. And so I invited these folks to help us understand what those were. We have Safe Routes to School, amongst others, that they can hopefully just shed a little bit of light on. Like I said, I don't want to take up tons of time and get into the meat and potatoes, but if you give us insight to what we should be targeting and what you think we would qualify for, we will see what we can do to make those things happen. Okay, so if you could each introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you, Madam Chair. My name is
Can you
Beth
hit
Schmidt.
the button.
I did push the button,
thank
is
you.
that
Okay.
better?
No, it's on, it was just not close. Some of these work better than others, thank
My
you.
name is Beth Schmidt. I am the Salem Keizer Safe Routes to School Program Coordinator. I'm happy to be here, and I'm gonna introduce you.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the board, good evening. My name is TJ Crockett, and I'm here in my capacity as Director of Transportation and Fleet Services for Salem Keizer Public Schools. I have no grants for you, but happy to talk about Safe Routes to School.
Excellent, that's part of what we need to hear.
And I'm Mike Jaffe. I'm the Transportation Planning Director at the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments and also your local MPO, the Salem Keizer Area Transportation Study.
Well, thank you all for coming. And it's not just about grants. I guess I want to understand more about our partnership to what we can do for the Safe Routes to School to help our kiddos. Floor is yours. What can you share with us? Any thoughts, or else we can lead the conversation if it's easier?
I did ask my support staff with ODOT and Alta Planning, and they gave me a list of opportunities for you. Some of them, I don't know that they're necessarily relative, because I'm not sure with your agency if you guys would qualify for those. But they were, for example, the ODOT Community Paths Grant, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Grant. Those are like funds that are innovative ideas towards an equitable future. Application is open now. The Central Oregon Health Council grants. They're not sure if that's for government agencies like you. Safe Streets for All, which I think you're very familiar with already. OEA Sustainable Mini Grants. Again, they're not sure about your state agency. People for Bikes Grant, which sounds very cool. I like that one. I think we could probably pursue that. It has to do with bikes. Are you familiar with it? You're shaking your head, Hirsch.
Yeah.
It's good. The Ford Family Foundation, and they have grants that are always open, and they might be another opportunity for us. So I can forward all those websites onto you, and you can look at them if you'd like. But that's just what I had currently. Because I'm new to this position and us exploring it, I think we should always try for whatever we can apply for. It's always best to try, right? You never know till you try. So I look forward to partnering with you in any way that we possibly can. All of us are really looking forward to helping our Keizer students get to and from school safely. But yeah.
More COG stuff or district stuff?
Well, Beth told me about this, I think, on Tuesday, so didn't have a ton of time to prepare, but I think that for this committee and the city, the main grants that you should be focused on is, first of all, Safe Routes to School grants. Just to be clear about that, there's...
Infrastructure ones.
Right, so there's an infrastructure one, which builds things on the ground, and there's educational grants, which is what funds our program, and Beth. The infrastructure projects, our program, I think is every 2 years, could be 3, but it's every 2 years. And they had applications earlier in the year. So you have to be on their calendar, don't have to be on their calendar, but you have to be aware of their calendar so that you have enough time to work out what projects you are most interested in. There's obviously guidelines of maximum grant costs. So I think it was around 2 million is the maximum grant. And there's a lot of other criteria for submitting it that helps you score points. So that one's definitely how well does this grant proposal or concept potentially meet these criteria. And I know Bill Lawyer is very familiar with the Safe Routes to School process, but, you know,
We've applied for at least 2 of them.
yeah. But it's, they change it every cycle, the criteria change a little bit, and it's not bad to just be aware of when it's coming up and look at it again and see if it's something that works for you, right? And there's some advantages to that program that you could use. I think this is still the case. You can use previously committed and used funds on a project that's like adjacent to the project that you are concerned about. So if you're doing something on Dearborn, or you have done something on Dearborn within like 3 years, I'm not being very precise because I don't know all the rules, but let's say you did something on Dearborn 3 years ago, and now you want to do something again adjacent to it on Dearborn. I think you can use the money you spent on Dearborn to help with the match for the new project. So it's something to think about when you're considering possible projects. Anyway, Safe Routes to School is one granting process through ODOT. Another one is the arts program. People have heard of the arts program, the all-road transportation safety program. So that's also on a cycle. I think there was 20, let's see, I had it here a minute ago. I don't have the total amount they have for arts, but it's quite a big sum. And you should know about the calendar for that. I have something here from Salem where they applied for arts funding back in December. So the cycle's already passed for the cycle they're working on. But you should be familiar with the next cycle. I think that's also every 2 years.
And is that one we can do outside of SCATs? Because I thought we're limited because we're part of that group, or am I on the wrong page when it comes to
You can do that as a city.
Okay.
Doesn't matter whether you're inside the MPO or not. Salem has gotten arts grants, so.
Okay.
So that's a very good, very useful program to think about. And then there's a call, of course, the MPO itself. So we have a call for applications about every 3 years. And we're about to have one in, I think our applications will probably be out around October. And there's a whole process that Bill Lawyer, also being on the SCATS Technical Advisory Committee, knows about the calendar and the process. So just like other programs, right now we're setting the calendar, the criteria for how we'll evaluate projects, et cetera, et cetera. It's a long process, and we're talking about projects in federal fiscal year 27 and beyond. So that's how far in advance we have to start this process to select projects. So those are like the 3 main ones that I think you should know about.
I see a hand. Oh. Okay. The way I envision our committee fitting with what we're hearing here is by learning about the needed projects, and then we can move forward to the city with those. And if we have enough that we need to score and prioritize, since we built that up, then we can know when these opportunities for the grants are available and work with the city on making those come to fruition. That's my thoughts here. So by us knowing when their timing is, that will help us to make sure we discuss those at the right time on our calendars. Does anyone have any questions for, yes, Hirsch?
Since we have somebody from the school district here, and your transportation, and what about the bike racks at the schools? I mentioned, we talked bike racks in the very beginning. Some of the schools, especially middle schools, the racks are from the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can talk a little bit.
And I know CTEC makes some of the best racks around.
Yeah, for sure. And I can talk to that a little bit because that falls under the more under the facilities once you get into the parking lot. So we do look for opportunities to put those in with grants as they come. Safe Routes to School, that's part of what can be done with those grants. Looking at those as we build new facilities, we look at that. So there is a bit of a cycle that we look at that. It comes out of the facilities money. So unfortunately, in some ways for the district, it's the same as the roof and the paint and some of the other things that we have there. Yeah.
You did a beautiful job as far as racks in the rebuilding of McNary. And those racks during good days are full.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'd like to see the middle schools with as nice racks. And those are kind of inexpensive racks that I'm recommending.
Okay. I'll definitely chat with our facilities folks and do that. And we're
Because the
starting to
old
look at
Nielsen
long-range
racks,
planning.
you know, the ones you just roll your wheel
Yeah.
in, those are built in the sixties
Mm-hmm.
for bikes that we don't have anymore.
Yes, very true.
And most kids are using scooters anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of kids, and to lock it up to those, you can't.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mike.
One of the previous meetings we had, there was the Safe Routes to Parks program that I brought up, but I don't know much about it. And I know, Beth, you're Safe Routes to School, but do you have any information about that, or who we could talk with about that program, or Mike, or?
It's another program.
It's another program. It's not a program that's run through ODOT, is my understanding. It's more of a federal type program where you have to apply through that. I'm not too familiar with it. I don't know their cycle or what their funding levels are. So I'm sorry to say, it's something I've seen occasionally, come across my vision vision about them being out there, but I'm just not very familiar with it. I'm sure if you do an internet search, you can find something about how much they have, when the cycle is. Yeah.
Heard you want something to add?
I was asked to do research on that, so I did, you're completely
Okay.
correct. ODOT knew nothing about it,
Right.
other than yeah, we saw a video. I watched the video that they had shown, and it is a quasi-federal. There's a private group that actually runs it, but nobody in Oregon seemed to know about it in ODOT or even state parks.
Yeah.
But there is a video online that you can watch, and the video is kind of pre-COVID.
Right.
So
Well, I tell you, you should.
at least the two major state agencies knew about it, but we don't know anything, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth checking into, but I
Yeah.
think the Community Pass program is one, just because the application's coming up soon, maybe find out more about that. We can send you information later on if you can't find anything, but I know Salem has been very successful getting some very large grants for the Community Pass program. Yeah, both for studies and also for actual projects, so.
Go ahead.
You had something?
Please feel free to share
Do you have
everything.
it? Well, they have it, he's about to ask a question. Let him speak.
I brought you.
Let him ask a question.
Well, my question is to you. It's about, how does the school work with the city, at least Keizer, when it comes to paths that are not very, well, they're not ADA accessible and they're in pretty poor condition. The one I know specifically is going into Whitaker on the side. I've seen on school days, kids, especially in wet days, it's muddy and slippery. On soccer games, it's trying to carry stuff up the steps, so.
Yeah, so, well, if I can, I'll start with just a little bit of background on the requirements, and then maybe that'll get me into this, answering your question, and then it'll make Beth happy, which she's within striking distance. So, transportation is required for all elementary students who live more than a mile from their elementary school, and secondary students, a mile and a half. I think that's important to note, because then as you're looking for whatever improvements and they're in that distance of a elementary or secondary school, then you have potential for a school impact in that area. Additionally, we identify areas within that, we call it the no transport zone, but we identify areas within that don't provide safe methods for kids to get to school through walking. We file that under a supplemental plan. Which is, it's actually called that in statute, which our school board has to adopt, and then it goes to the State Board of Education, who approves it, and then we're obligated to provide transportation in that area too. So the way we have traditionally worked with, I think the cities and the counties, because we're in 4 jurisdictions, with our district, is looking at those areas that have, and it usually comes up, like, Bill Lawyer, for example, will reach out when they've got projects coming up and they'll say, like, what are the areas that you have concern about? And we just look at it really through that lens of what's within that mile or mile and a half distance to say, these are the areas that we think could be made better for those who are already walking, or these are areas that could be made better and then they could walk, or they could get there kind of differently. So I don't think we have a real strong, at least not in my department, a strong formal relationship, but we do have a lot of informal things. The other thing we do is we have a site assessment team. So we look at arrival and dismissal patterns for all kind of modes of transportation. That's generally done at the request of a principal, although we have come out if a city or a concerned citizen or other want to do it, because the principal kind of directs how the traffic flow is around their school, right? And there's a lot going on because you've got cars and you've got our buses and you've got kids walking and biking and everything else. So we do have, it's a multidisciplinary team. So we have our transportation representatives go out, our safety and risk management team goes out, our communications team. We also invite the local jurisdiction to visit. Sometimes law enforcement will come out to visit those things too, the road authority. So that's how we would look at a situation like that, to take a look about what are the barriers here for getting in and out of the school area. Did that almost get there?
Yeah, I just,
Okay.
I guess I'm putting it on the record that that pathway at the end of Mandarin
Okay.
is, and it's been that way since I've lived there and probably long before that, so.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing to look at.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Regarding safe routes to schools, my recall, I'm just checking, is it has to be a Title I school. Isn't that one of the criteria?
For a safe routes to school
Safe routes
grant?
to school grant, has to be
I don't
Title
think
I?
so.
You mean the infrastructure grants?
Yes. Well,
Um,
both of them.
It helps it score.
Yeah.
It will help it score higher, but it doesn't mean it has to. It helps it score higher, right? You're gonna apply for a grant and you wanna obviously win the grant, so you're gonna wanna highlight probably a Title I school, and they're gonna ask for specifics such as, does the population, they'll ask about their race, they'll ask about if they're on free and reduced lunches, they'll ask if their attendance is, if it's poor, they're gonna ask all kinds of details with which, yeah, it's a Title I. Do those schools need help? Because they wanna make sure that they do help those schools that are, in need. So they would score higher, and they would be more likely to probably be awarded that grant money to help out a school in need. So it's just one of the boxes that you would tick to say, yes, this school is Title I and it could score better and maybe it's more likely to win the grant.
I'd say I didn't really review the latest round of infrastructure grants, which I think that you're talking about infrastructure grants, actual projects, right? So I'd have to double check to see if it's a requirement or just another scoring criteria. You understand? It could be a requirement or it could be a scoring criteria.
Scoring criteria is kind of fuzzy, because you can either, where it's a scoring criteria and we're gonna give it 50% or 2%. I mean,
Right,
it doesn't, it's kind of meaningless unless
At
we
lea-
know how important it really is.
yeah.
Unless they have changed it with this last legislative and fiscal. When we did our grants, it was first Title I. It
Yeah.
wasn't a scoring criteria. You had to be a Title I, then they had other scoring.
It'd be pretty easy for me to kind of find the application material and see, and forward it to you and kind of just tell you whether it's for a certain thing or just a criteria, so you're clear. The worst thing is to walk away with certain perception of what has to be done and then realize that wasn't the correct perception, right? So.
Go ahead, Mike.
This, I think, is for Mike. So I recently read, Earl Blumenauer was talking about all these grants that I guess the US Department of Transportation has for roads that were once, highways, not like I-5, but, 99 and all those that have become stroads and trying to make them better. I don't know if you know about what the article that I read or something about that, or
Yeah.
if Salem Keizer area has plans for that.
Which roads do we have?
Well, that's one thing I like is River Road. Does that count as an old highway that's become an urban stroad?
Well, I don't know all the details of this program. I think you're referring to the Reconnecting Communities program, probably, which was like I said, a program. There was many transportation programs passed and initiated with the infrastructure bill that passed in, I guess, 2001 or 2002 under the Biden administration. So there were a lot of programs. I think that was one of them. And the ODOT got how much was their grant? I forget the amount. I think it was $400 million of that money through the Rose Quarter I-5 and the Albina community, right? So this was early in this year. They announced that they received that large of a project, and I think that fund was mainly for to look at large projects that separated communities, like an interstate or something similar, that really separated communities. And now the community says, hey, this large project has, it doesn't fit with our goals of our city. We have people on either side, they can't get across, they don't feel like, as a connected community. So I'm giving you about this much of information I know about that program. I don't know all the people who've received it. I just know about this one in Portland. I imagine that they've given out grants of different sizes, but that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, and I that may be something different, and I can forward you what I read.
Okay.
But the thing that understanding it to be was, you've got like I said, a road like South Commercial or Portland Road, roads that were once what we'd call a rural highway or near urban highway, and that has become full of development along it, and so it's unsafe for non-car, well, even car users, but it's also the aesthetics, and so apparently there's a bunch of different resources that could be going into trying to do work on that, and so I'll send it to you and you can see if any of that is usable in the Salem Keizer area.
I know the Safe Streets for All grant, which was mentioned earlier. Eugene has a road. I think it's actually called Portland Road, in northwest Eugene, like going toward the airport. And I think they applied for Safe Streets for All, kind of in the same manner, like it's a stroad. It's a busy road and people don't feel safe driving on it, crossing it. And I don't remember I think they applied. I don't remember if they've received the grant or not, but this is the thing about transportation. There are usually multiple programs that might fit with the concept that you have. One might be more appropriate than others, but there's no penalty for applying, just time, the jurisdiction's time.
Go ahead, Dave.
I don't know who wants, it has to do with grants, so I suppose. Do they have minimum amounts? I'm concerned because if and I'm not especially bright or anything about this, but if I find a project that I'm really sold on, but it only costs $3,500. Am I gonna get rejected because I'm causing you too much paperwork?
We've already been rejected.
Yeah, a $3,500 project. A $3,500 project would probably not be a good one to apply for federal funds.
Well, I'm just saying, so what are we looking at? 10 grand, 100? Is there got an idea, rough idea? I'm not gonna hold.
You want a rough idea? I would say a rough idea was probably under 100,000, but more likely under $200,000 or $300,000 for something simple, like maybe Maybe you just want a pedestrian island. That's all you want.
Yeah,
You don't want the ramps, you don't want extra lighting, you just want an island, like you have sort of like, in front of the library here.
Yeah, okay.
No lights, no flashing lights, just an island. You know, that might be 100,000, just, I could be way off, but that might be 100,000, but still
Well,
might
you don't-
be
you don't
useful to
want-
apply for.
Now, the school district probably doesn't have those kind of limitations, correct? If we ask for something that you're gonna be involved in. I can't even imagine what I would care about. I was just thinking of big grants. We don't grant the school district.
Yeah, well, with my experience with grants, I'd say a lot of it also depends on the grant, because there are grants out there that target smaller projects. So it's, to Mike's point, it's the trick of finding the right grant, that fits. And then, and often anytime, and we experience this too, because I know whenever a jurisdiction's going for safe routes to school, I write them the support letter. But usually that's because there's other things and they're trying to combine, and it happens to be close enough to the school that it also qualifies for this grant. So, I think the real key is identifying, like, what is it you want to do? And then, and it feels backwards, right? Because you want to go, oh, here's a grant, here's what I should do with it. But if you identify what you want to do, it helps you find the right grant to do it. But that is also why the lead time on any sort of infrastructure project is so long, because you go, here's the project, here's what I want to do, what can help me do it? And you're looking, 3 fiscal years down the road.
Another semi-answer, quasi-answer to that would be to, look at past cycles, let's say for Safe Routes to School. I think there were over 80 applications for projects, and I don't know how many got awarded, maybe, a dozen or two got awarded. You can get those lists of what people applied for, and also which grantees received awards, and get a sense of the range of projects and project costs, right? So, and then also as part of the application, there might be, minimum request is in some number. And short of that, you can just contact the appropriate person from ODOT and say, I have a project, but it's only a $25,000 project, we think. Is it worthwhile me applying? So you can get a discussion about that. Hopefully that's a little helpful.
Yeah. Find some other source, yeah. Got it.
Sorry.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you very much. Something also to consider is we have our large projects that we run through the SCATS process, Verta being the big one that's going to construction, and we have others that are queued up. But sometimes it's the smaller ones that we can either leverage with a big grant, a big project coming up, or like the flashing speed signs on Alder. It was brought up during the year, and because of cost savings on another project, Public Works was able to shoehorn it in. So asking and keeping the smaller things in mind sometimes can take advantage of an opportunity. We love leverage.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking, Mayor, ODOT had a mini grant process, which we used to get some bicycle helmets. And I think the mini grants were up to 5,000. And I think I heard the next round might be up to 15,000. And I've kind of lost track of when that starts, but these are not construction projects, but it might be some other safety initiative you might have. It might be bike helmets, or it might be, maybe it's for bike racks, as you mentioned earlier. We want so much money for bike racks. So.
With Bill, wrote a mini grant to ODOT for the bike racks.
Yeah.
And it was too cumbersome
Okay.
for $1,500.
Yeah. Sometimes we can find, sorry. Sometimes we can find it in the budget for the smaller ones, but again, asking leverage, it's all good to keep it in mind that we are actively pursuing opportunities to build out the spaces within our neighborhoods. But I do have a question for Mr. Crockett, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, of course.
I'm going to ask, and that's Cummings. The piece of sidewalk is missing on the corner of, I think it's Rafael to Cummings. We talked about it on the walk and everything. What are the opportunities or options for getting that filled in?
I'm having a hard time picturing right where it is. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's an infill from the driveway to Cummings Lane.
Gotcha, yeah.
And when all of the other work was being done, that piece was omitted or just overlooked.
Right. Okay, I
So
gotcha.
at some point, it'd be really lovely. I walk that very, very frequently. And
Okay.
a lot of people do, and it'd be really nice to finish that. Yes, you can come in
Mm-hmm.
on Raphael, go on the sidewalk that runs through the school parking lot and back down.
Right.
But it'd be nice to finish the
Yeah,
loop.
finishing off the
Yeah.
property. Yeah, I can connect with our facilities, and like I said, we're working on our next iteration of the long-term plan. Gotcha.
So it's kind of like the Whitaker thing, it's just one of those opportunities, if you get
Yep.
a little bit of extra of something, they can pop it in there.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Speaking of leverage, is there a way we could get maybe annual or semi-annual lists of projects that might be in the Keizer School District? That way, when we're applying for safe routes to school, we could say, hey, there's a project going on at Cummings or Kennedy, and we're applying to kind of build on that.
Yeah, so you mean projects that are in works or projects that,
Yeah.
like, we would like to have? So the district doesn't, Safe Routes to School is a little weird in that, they're pretty, no, listen, the grants are a little weird in how they divide up who can ask for grants. Right? And so the district is not well positioned to ask for infrastructure grants because we don't run that. So almost everything that the district would ask for through Safe Routes to School is going to tie to education or any of those other things. So then it really falls on the road authority to ask for any infrastructure grants. And right now it's not necessarily, while Beth does a wonderful job coordinating and doing a lot of the education pieces, the infrastructure pieces haven't gotten under one roof very well. So it is still very fragmented with how that's going. So I don't know if that was the direction you were going with the question.
No, so I'm saying, so projects that the school district wants to do.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, and then we know it's a school in Keizer, and,
Yeah.
and like it's a 26 or 7 project, and we apply for safe routes to school for that school,
Mhm.
and then maybe we could get oh, look, safe routes to school says, oh, look, they're doing this, and
Yeah.
the school's doing this, let's give them money.
Okay, no, now I understand the question, and yeah, we'd be happy to share that with the committee. We did share with, right, Keizer and Salem, all of our partner jurisdictions, probably about 8 months ago, but yeah, happy to share that, for sure.
Anything else while we have them here? Well, this is going to be a segue then into another topic that Mike Jaffe can speak to briefly that I was going to bring up anyway, your new safety action plan.
That's right. We've been working on a safety action plan since beginning of '23. And I gave the chair a copy, got a copy right here of our draft plan. It's full of background information on crashes, it's got our goal of reducing fatalities and serious injuries by 2035. It has, like I said, a lot of background information about projects we've done over the years, crash rates, et cetera, and probably most importantly, what strategies have been happening in the past and what are our priority strategies going forward. And then we have some performance measures. So, like I said, we spent quite a number of, about a year and a half working on this. We had a committee, Tammy Kuntz was on the steering committee, Bill Lawyer was on our project management team. We got a lot of public outreach. We had over about 800 people answer our survey. We had 1,100 comments on the map. So I encourage you to take a look at the safety action plan. We're finalizing it here in August, September, and it's going to our policy committee at the end of September for their adoption. And as Don brought up, we have a whole web page on the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments website, all about the safety action plan. It's got this plan and it's got all the background information, all the comments there's a comment map, so you can zoom into Keizer and say, what are people in Keizer saying as safety issues on any of your roads? It's quite illuminating to actually read the comments on the map, but also the comments people submitted when we asked them, do you have anything else to tell us? And people are not shy in expressing their views on safety and dangerous drivers and what they can and can't do to get around safely. And I tell you, I read all of those, and it's quite sobering to hear people's stories, because we obviously want a very safe community, and I know I've done everything and I can, and as an MPO and cities, we're doing a lot of work, but apparently there's still a lot to do, right? I would say all the comments were kind of divided between do something about drivers. They should be a lot safer, and then do more for infrastructure. Build our sidewalks, build our crossings, build our bike lanes. So it's a kind of a dual problem. It's the people and the transportation system. So I can go on, but I won't. But I encourage you to take a look at the materials, and thank you.
And Don has the website address. It'll be in the meeting minutes for everybody to access, and definitely spend some time perusing. It is very enlightening. Yes, Dave, go ahead.
Short question. This is not directly related to what you said. The state's been spending a lot of time on emergency management in case of the next big earthquake or something. And I'm going, oh God, I'm lucky we live in Keizer. We don't have a lot of bridges, just the one over I-5. So when it collapses, I suppose we're still okay because we can get to the hospital because we don't have to go over a bridge. You guys, is that part of your thing you look at, or does anybody look at it? Besides, I know the county has.
Yeah.
A little.
Well, that's a different topic. It's not covered in our safety plan
right.
per se. This is mostly about crashes and things
Yeah.
like that. But our long-range plan touches a bit about resilience, and the state also talks about resilience. Basically, how resilient are we to major disasters like earthquakes, but other kind of disasters? And tell you what, that's really not a specialty of mine to know about this, more at the local level. But I know things are being done. For example, the Center Street Bridge seismic upgrade is something that the MPO pushed quite heavily to kind of get money for it. And we have about $100 million in the state system to do that. Now, that project has gotten bigger and more complicated over the years. But still, we hope to seismically upgrade that bridge. And on a more local level, I think it's more under your TSPs, identifying those bridges. Our plan, I think, has a section about which bridges are considered more deficient and maybe subject to failure if the earthquake happens, but we don't cover it in depth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else does.
Yes, and I think the cities are responsible for reporting. The city and the state kind of jointly work on it, reports to the legislature about the quality of the road system and also the structural stability of the bridges. So I think ODOT and the cities work together.
I didn't know if the city, Marion County spent a lot of time on that topic.
Well, they do have a lot of bridges. They do have a lot of bridges over their county roads, so.
Okay, well, thank you to the four of you very much for coming and meeting with us tonight. This has been a great conversation, and we will definitely invite you back. And you're welcome to come talk to us whenever you have ideas, now that you understand what it is we're targeting here, and any partnerships we can have. We're eager to help. Thank you so much. All righty. Let's take a quick look at our spreadsheets. Again, I don't want to spend time on any that are not needing that attention, so starting at the top with our active projects, Verda and Chamala. I looked at this a little bit, and I'm hoping to get some feedback soon from the Neighborhood Association and our city staff. Is this the warning signs for the roundabout? Do we know what this even is?
I think this is the warning sign that you're, for the pedestrians, I think.
But it's a flashing,
Yeah, I know.
okay, maybe,
Well, the issue is, the roundabouts probably could be a really, really busy for pedestrians, bikes, and cars.
right.
And, it has a, right at this point in time, a pretty good potential for somebody getting seriously injured, usually a pedestrian or a bicyclist, because people accelerate coming out of the traffic circle.
But what is this project?
The solution, I don't know about the solution.
Well, we installed
if that's the
something.
solution. However,
I
when
don't think we
the mayor
installed
comes
anything.
back, we could ask her since I think.
I don't
She
think
said
we
she didn't
installed
know.
anything. I live over there. There's nothing.
This is, this would be south of the roundabout.
South of the roundabout, on
Closer to
Verda.
Keizer Road,
And what is it?
a crossing that's going to be, possibly be there.
But according to this, it's a flashing crossing that we installed in April. And the only flashing thing I found near there is a flashing sign as you approach from, I'm gonna say Keizer Station on Chamawa, that says that you're approaching a roundabout. Is that a new sign?
I think so.
And I know Mike said that they installed something over there.
Yeah,
That
I
must be
think
what this
that's
is.
it.
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
So it's not flashing.
It is a flashing, it's,
Yeah, it is
there's, it
flashing.
lights up, mhm.
And it was related.
I know,
to-
I didn't notice it either until I physically went there the other day to look for it.
So it's a flashing sign telling cars that they're approaching the roundabout?
Yes, because you're coming around a curve. I'm saying we should all go check it out. It's just up the road.
Well, Mike, it goes back to the group that came and talked about cars going into their,
It's that area, but.
that area.
Yeah.
That's
And they
not-
were wanting something to help slow people down and slowing people down going into the roundabout.
But that's not south of the roundabout.
No,
That's north.
that's
Northeast.
Okay, then what I think we need to do, since all of us are very, not clear, is next month we'll ask
We'll ask.
Mike
And
about
the other
what,
part, we did,
Yeah, look,
I remember part, there's a crosswalk as you
yes,
exit
there is.
right south of the traffic circle.
Yes.
But it's not over at Keizer Road.
No.
And Keizer Road has a lot of traffic from those two apartment buildings, the baseball field and the school. So if you're going to Safeway or down Safe.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. The problem area is right there.
no, we,
But
yes.
this
I don't
is a
have a
different one.
solution.
This is a different
Different
one.
one?
This
Yeah,
is,
it's
I just
different.
wanted to know what we installed so we can follow up on it.
Yeah.
We need to find out what this was.
Okay.
Okay, next month, we're
But
pinning
there
it
is
till
a
then.
flashing.
That's north. yeah.
Moving on.
Okay, moving on to, Lock Haven, the RRFB is being installed as we speak. They've been working on it for about a week or so now.
They're doing something down there, aren't they?
Uh-huh.
They're putting in a signal.
I haven't driven through there, but I can see it when I turn off my road, so,
They're putting in
next month we should
sidewalks
hear.
and all sorts of stuff down there.
Who's they?
Well, the contractor,
Okay.
they're putting in sidewalks.
The
and
ramps.
Yeah.
The ramps to go with
everything.
the, yes. Yes, it's gonna be more than just the signs, it is a whole new, crosswalk, yes. So, next month, we will know more on that. Alder, we already talked about today, so Don's already gone, but thank you for that.
You can put it, we got an attaboy from the neighborhood association.
Did, we should add that, we got an attaboy. Okay, Don's putting it into the official record. The signs along the pathway, did we do any additional outreach on this?
I don't really know who to outreach to anymore.
I'll talk about it next month.
Okay, pin it till next month, great.
Oh, we have a political representative.
Yeah, I talked to a political representative.
Oh, that's right, okay. First to talk in September. Did you have something?
No.
I keep seeing it on the corner of my eye. I
No,
think you're putting your,
I just know
Oh.
all the story of that, and so it's just, I find it funny every time we talk about it.
okay, that's all we have for active, right?
Yeah.
So, for anyone listening, our list is getting short. Let us know what you need.
More projects, we need more projects.
Yeah, we need to discuss more. Moving on on to need further analysis. I don't have any notes unless somebody has anything to add there.
Well, so, I don't know, Chris, you wanna talk about that? What you learned, like, for the Lock Haven bike scraping? Or do you wanna wait? Do we
I
wanna
think
wait?
we have that. Oh, no, we don't. Never mind.
I can talk about it.
Let's finish the projects.
Okay.
And then we will,
Okay,
that'll be
that's-
next.
That's fine.
Okay, so anyone else have anything on that one? And then completed, we are completed?
Well,
Yes, Mike.
this is about the Newburgh Lock Haven issue that we saw the video. on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I know I brought it up last time, I just wanted to bring it up one more time, you know. Controlling the left-hand turn lane turns into the high school. I don't know if I sent it out, there was a thing about the left-hand turns and how everyone's trying to move away from that, so maybe I should have said something while TJ was here, but,
We can always get TJ back.
yeah, but I just feel like it's obviously a concern to the neighbors on Newburgh.
Well, it was discussed at the last city council meeting, so I'm glad you stopped me here. Brenda and I went and chatted at city council with our report, and it was one of our topics, and Chief Copeland said that at the start of school, they will have a patrol car come out and see what's going on and provide any necessary education that they can do to help. It's not exactly what you're discussing there, but at least it's a start, and then we'll see what the school thinks. And like you said, we can have TJ come back and chat with us if we need to.
And we'll have the police input after school starts
Right,
too.
good point.
So,
We'll have a little more data.
Yeah.
So we'll keep this on it's still here. I guess which section is it
Make it
in?
as a
Need further
permanent
analysis. See,
issue.
it's still on our list.
In our cars.
Newburgh has been paved,
Yes,
and they're working on
Chehalis.
Chehalis now.
I'm not from here, I said it wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is not fun when your road is being paved because you have nowhere to park.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of something else. A nicely paved street, no bumps, no crags, perfect for painting.
I'm gonna get to that. It's on my to-do list tonight. I will fill everyone in on where we are with that. So I love the way you think. Major projects are just an ongoing list that will sit here unless somebody has something to discuss. Did I miss anything? Did I run through anything too quickly? Oh. I have a sheet I printed, which one? I printed one from home. And I don't know where it came from. It's
Here's,
the River Road?
well, that says turf field, and that's a turf field.
I know, but it's on a different order. Okay, well, I'll just look at my notes here, wherever it happens to be in the spreadsheet, I'll find it. Well, I was hoping to get update on the 5-second timing change, but we don't have that opportunity, so that will be next month. And then I asked about the turf fields, just to keep this as something on our radar. As they finish the new fields, we had heard Chariots was going to provide a new bus service to the fields to facilitate everyone to get there. But that is not in the works yet, I've learned. So they're still deciding if they're going to offer that service.
On a regular basis.
Just in general. They don't go down that road yet, that far anyway.
But you can't turn around.
I know. I know. The completion date of the fields is September 25th, so likely October-ish we'll start to see traffic from there, and I think it'll be good to pay attention to and see how things are going, especially since our neighborhood association is part of that. I'm paying attention for that reason as well. And no traffic study was done when I reached out to the city, aside from the master plan, which had the fields planned in the 2021 revision. So that's just something to be keeping in mind. Okay, onward, committee member input. First, you wanna go first?
You want to talk about?
Oh, I did promise you, yes, sorry. Bike paint.
do a brief summary, we were recommending, on Lock Haven and River Road, the bicycle crossings, where the bikes actually and the cars do merge, to paint them green as City of Salem and Common Code has done. City of Salem has done at least 25 already. We were told through our Public Works that they couldn't, they had to do a study, and that would cost $15,000 just to do a study. The bike lanes are already there. It's just putting in the warning green deal. So I called and talked with the traffic engineer, Tony Martin from the City of Salem, and said, you've done several here recently, well, Hyacinth being one of them that I picked out. And he said, yeah. I said, did you have to do a traffic engineering study for those? And he said, no. He said, years ago, we had a study done to determine which ones we should do first. Because he said, basically, we have hundreds in Salem that mount that. And he pulled our little thing in. He said, you only got 2 in Keizer. And he said, what you ought to do is, since we got talking, and I said, Marion County does our painting, is as you do the painting, just put it in. So this thing about having to have a traffic safety study, Salem never did it. The bike paths are already there. It's not putting in new bike paths. Now, Chamawa Road and River Road, there would have to be a new path, a new set. That one I agree that probably we need a little study. But the one on Lock Haven, now, here's another key point that Tony and I talked about, is that is a major route between 2 schools, Whitaker and McNary. And on top of it, it's a connection with the Willamette Scenic Bikeway to Silverton. So if you're doing the Willamette Scenic Bikeway, you turn on Lock Haven and go straight out. So that would, my proposal or suggestion is Public Works, they have their painting cycle with the county. See what it would cost for a little more green paint. And I don't see where their $15,000 for a study is needed. Maybe for Chamawa, but not for.
Who speaks next at our city council?
Well, the question is, what do we do with this information?
That's what I'm saying, if we bring it up to city council, then whoever our next
Because the city council
person-
turned it down because they were told it was going to cost $15,000. And it's for a study, and what study?
Well, that's where we come to city council and have a conversation and understand where the disconnect happened. I think that would help. So who's our next person? Don, would you mind?
Yes, I mean, no, I don't mind.
Even though did you give us a list? Maybe I have it. Oh, I'm sorry, you did give that to us.
I'm just wondering if Public Works thought we were wanting to put in a new or different kind of bike rack, bike
Lanes.
bike lane.
I mean, so with my Lock Haven idea, there would be a shift, not just a green paint.
That was
but
your
the shift.
idea,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I just, if we can get the green paint,
On the existing bike
Yeah.
lanes that are marked.
And that's
It
where I
would be
think
nice, but-
that's where the disconnect came from, is we have like 3 things now we're talking about. We got the Chamawa River Road, where there's a traffic study needed. There's your request of the lane width, which
Right,
both
right.
of those need a study. It's the addition now that we're discussing of the crossovers that I don't think would
the
be,
existing crossovers, if we put in the green paint showing that this, the existing,
Well, I
I
don't think we actually asked for that yet, so this should be easy to have that conversation.
okay.
Yeah.
So this is perfect timing. Hirsch is up next for the next council
at
meeting this
that.
Monday, the 19th.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. we have a plan now.
Okay.
Anything else to share with us on that?
Remind me though, did we agree with Mike's realignment of the bike lanes on Lock Haven?
We requested both.
We did request it, okay, okay.
And
Well-
just to be clear, I'm trying to get the lane by the Wingcombe Shopping Center to match the rest of the lane on Lock
Yeah.
Haven.
Yeah, but that's
So we
farther
agreed
up.
with that, yeah.
Yeah, that's farther up.
Right.
But just
But
where,
you're-
where
yeah, I know
that
what you're talking-
merging is,
Yeah.
if we had green, both, Tony said, you know, he admitted, I'm not a cyclist, but that, those green lines have been proven to be an alert.
And do you want it on both sides of Lock Haven? Because there's the.
I want it on both
Both
sides,
sides, yep.
not just that one side, wherever there's the merging.
Yeah, because well, there's that turn lane.
Yeah.
Okay, so both those locations are still on our list, so we'll leave them there for
Yes.
future. But can we add to our active, Don, the paint that we're discussing? Because that's a different topic.
Well, it's kind of, it's,
Well, I'd rather keep all three
Yeah,
separate so
I
that we
see what
can
you
pay
mean.
attention and track what we're
I-
asking for.
but if we're, a traffic study is gonna probably have to be at Chimoa, for sure.
I agree, and that's why we're keeping it, available for us to discuss when the time comes that we have money.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So there's a turn lane on I'm blanking now, the street that takes you into where the not coastal, is it coastal?
Well,
Where Roth's used to be.
you're right.
There's a turn lane there.
Cascade.
Thank you. I knew it started with a C.
Cascade.
And there's a dashed bike lane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would that be another one of those things where we could just,
We could.
I guess so I'm thinking is like, if we can do a broader view of everything and just be like, anytime there's a crossing, that unlike the Chamawa.
Well, the Chimoa on the east side is a
Right,
problem.
right, but-
And Tony pulled it up on his screen and he said, yeah, I see what you're talking about. Cyclists have to go into the turn lane. If they want to proceed across, there's going to be a conflict. And I said, yeah, we've had conflicts. Luckily, nobody has been seriously injured, except one bicycle.
Well, we have means now of tracking all this data between, the original SCATS mapping we looked at and now the new, website we looked at today. And so we'll start to know if there's these, problem areas and have the data support
Yeah.
that.
And
In the short,
that was the other thing that Tony mentioned. The study that they had a long time ago helped prioritize it. And it, a number of injury accidents at a particular step was on the list, but it was down. What they looked at was the volume of traffic, if there were possibility of kids or schools within the area, and how much, you know, there was movement back and forth from the regular travel lane merging across. And that's the kind of things they looked at. And Hyacinth in the merge there is almost very similar to Lock Haven.
if you could put together a list of these locations that we're talking about, because it sounds like we're more than two now. This way, when we go,
Well, we're just talking Lock Haven and Chimoa.
No.
But I think there are probably
confused.
more.
okay.
Yeah.
If we're
I'm
gonna ask
confused.
for green paint, we have to understand all these locations we're asking for, and then
Well,
our city staff can,
yeah, the one Mike, Mike mentioned, by the old Roths, there's not that much merge over.
No. Well, yeah, I mean, I got another one in my head, but.
okay.
Well,
We can put
the thing is, okay, so we have the Lock Haven one, where, at least I'm looking at, listening, kind of an agreement, just, let's get that painted.
Yeah.
The Chamawa one, we're probably asking for an engineering study.
Yeah, 'cause you're gonna
if
have to
you can
change
afford it,
lanes.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, it's complicated. And then there are probably some other locations in Keizer where green bike lanes
Warning signs.
warning, as a warning would help, but we don't know, we haven't thought about that, so we need to look around during the next month.
So at this point, yes, what I'm suggesting we do is put together these ideas of what we're even wanting with the green, where the green paint, we would want them. In the short term, if you can ask at city council if going to the county for some green paint at the next striping would be allowed. Do we need to vote on this? How does this work? Okay.
Because Bill would know the exact cost of the additional green paint, but Tony didn't feel that it was for that one area.
Very
Okay.
much.
All right. So your mission is to bring up the conversation.
Yeah.
Everyone else's mission is to bring locations. Yes, Mike?
Do you want us to bring locations to the next meeting, or are we
Yeah.
like giving them to Dawn?
No,
or- okay.
yes, let's compile
Okay.
ourselves first. Anything
So
else
my
on this?
focus is gonna be on Lock Haven.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, committee member input.
Anything else?
Yep.
Oh, Sunday.
It's Sunday. Sunday is a Serve Fest. It's at 2856 Broadway Street North, which is the Foursquare Church. right
First,
across-
it's on Broadway, the first block on the right past the Parkway as you're heading, on Broadway as you're heading south.
So it's, Lake Point Church is putting on this Surf Fest, and it's been highly advertised. I know Keizer Elementary, they put out stuff to their parents about it. So we will have about 50 plus helmets, and we'll be getting there about 9 o'clock to set up the table and stuff. And then the event itself starts at 10. And historically, we fit so fast that we're done by,
An hour.
an hour.
Lakeport Church, Lakeport Community Church.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you said high.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Lake Point, yeah.
You said 2856 Broadway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and, September 5th, he rode on the first Thursday night ride last month. We'll have another first Thursday night ride starting at Keizer, Rapids Park. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That's it for me.
Dave, what do you got?
Just a point on that, the church bought the helmets from us, so we're not giving them anything. And that goes really fast, it's nice. And if you're not aware of that, it's a really good event for the people. The other thing was just a pet peeve, I noticed, I almost got hit on Chemawa, I was on River Road, and but it's about the fourth time, because I'm probably more aggressive than I should be. But anyway, when people are driving and turning left, they cut the corner. Everywhere, any place anybody ever takes a left, probably a right too, they start their turn about 15 feet, 20 feet too soon. And so as I'm pulling over into the left turn lane, but I have a red light, so I'm gonna stop. But the traffic heading east off Chemawa, the first car cut, in fact, well, I got kind of nervous there, but he was coming way over the left turn lane before he gets on the River Road as I was pulling up, which means he had to turn right to avoid hitting me. Anyway, it's a pet peeve, and I've been watching it lately. It happens all the time, and it's just kind of like, I wish we could inform the drivers, when you're going to take a left turn, you don't start left from a dead stop, you go forward for a while and then turn left, so you don't run into people. I haven't seen any wrecks, but I'm just amazed.
Dave, you keep looking at me, was it?
Oh, no, you're the only person I can focus on that's
Okay.
close by.
Okay, good.
Anyway, just a pet peeve. Educational point, it's for anybody watching TV.
I'm good.
Matt's good. What do you got, Mike?
Nothing. I'm good.
Ethan?
You gotta tell us about the great ride.
It was fun. I mean, it was like 6 miles, and then we split off and we did 12 down Windsor Island Road, and we came back. And it was fun. It was pretty low key, but it's cool.
It wasn't too hot?
No, the wind coming back was pretty bad.
Oh.
It wasn't too hot. It was a good temperature.
Wonderful, thank you. I just have a couple things. I don't want to keep us longer than we need to. As I mentioned, Brenda and I went to city council. We came with the intent to request the change for the committee purpose. However, upon discussion, we decided that we need to add language per Mayor Clark's request, to include our role in the NTMP. So I put together some language for that. I sent it to Adam Brown, and I have not heard back if it's what he was looking for, but you look like you have something to add.
Well, actually, I've got suggested language. I thought I sent it to you.
I did not recall
Okay.
receiving any.
It was a couple of days ago. I sent it because since I was the one, running my mouth, I thought I better come up with a solution to go with it. So I actually have a recommendation for you all if you would like to. I wish I could pass this out, but it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. At the last council meeting, we were looking at your Appendix A, which describes your committee. And the changes that you adopted to send forward, I completely support. But when I was reading the Appendix A, I realized there were 2 more things that needed to be updated. So I wanted to kick it back to you and get your approval, input, and so forth. And one of them is to include in this document the neighborhood traffic management program. It's not mentioned anywhere. And that is going to be a key tool as we get that adopted for you to use. My recommendation is on item number 3, and it reads as follows. It says, proactively recommend traffic safety priorities for the city. And then my suggestion is, comma, including recommendations developed through the neighborhood traffic management program process. So actually I can send this down to you because I have it on my screen. So that's one of the places we could add it. If you had another location in the document that would work better, that's great. That was just where it felt there was a rational nexus.
No, that sounds great. I added some language also, and I'm curious on input on this. Should we identify the fact that we're maintaining transparency of transportation concerns by now having the spreadsheet, or is that not something we want to, it's not worth bringing up?
I'm not sure what are you saying that by having the spreadsheet that we are being transparent, or we just want to maintain transparency with the public on recommendations? I'm not sure where you're going with that.
I guess either. It was just a thought.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be. We could just stick with the one thing.
yeah.
Okay, that works.
I have one more recommendation.
Okay.
Also, on number 4, it mentions Connect Oregon. And that program has changed where Connect Oregon no longer has bike ped. It's a separate program. So just swap out Connect Oregon for the Multimodal Statewide Investments Management Fund, which is, sorry, I don't make this stuff up. But that's where the bike ped portion went. They split it out. So Connect Oregon is the non-highway. It is the aviation, rail, ports, marine. I'm missing one. It's a 4th one. Anyway, it's those. So those are the projects that go through Connect Oregon now, and the bike ped has its own separate fund. So that would be a recommendation to just update that.
Go ahead.
And then I had one more recommendation, and that was on 7. It talks about e-bikes. And there's a whole lot more than e-bikes now. We're talking about e-mobility devices. And I might suggest a broader term such as that rather than limit it to e-bikes. And there's a whole lot of work that needs to happen at the state level to figure out what we're going to do with those suckers in terms of licensing, where they should go, et cetera. So your input on that for me to carry into the regional and state policy recommendations would be really helpful,
Okay.
so. And then my last one is on number 9, the annual written report. We've never done that. Do you want to start doing it, or should we just leave it where you do your oral reports at a regular session?
How about we leave it?
Yeah. Do you want to write it? I mean, just do what we've been doing, give you all the.
No, we'll just do the monthly
Yeah.
updates.
So
Love it.
that's what I have on, if you want to pass that down, these were my thoughts about how to finish the updates to your Appendix A, or attachment, whatever they call it, Attachment A. No, it's Appendix, there we go. Appendix, attachment, potato, to help make sure that it's more in line with what you're actually doing. Because I really appreciate the level of work that you all are producing, and you've just kept evolving this to find this space. But I think the neighborhood traffic management program is a critical piece that was missing for a very long time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for helping us with that. So with these suggestions, do we need to discuss them? Does anyone have thoughts? Do we want to stew on it till next month and then bring it up as a motion? How do we want to handle this?
I'm fine with making a vote tonight if everyone else is. I mean, the changes aren't so complicated to wrap our heads around.
Yeah, they're not earth shattering
Okay.
or.
These are good, well
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Okay,
So I'll second Mike's motion.
Well, I just wanted to say, for the one about that word salad, the multimodal, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
Maybe just have one, for example, Safe Routes to School, and that way, that I think is a program
Just
that
take it
probably
out.
won't change its name for a while, and
Mhm.
probably will be around for a while, so we have it, and then we don't have to worry about changing other names. And then other bike ped funding, I think it said.
Mm-hmm. That would simplify it.
Yeah.
that works.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a motion to move forward with the request to update our Appendix A as shown here on Mayor Clark's recommendation
With that one change
with the one change,
on
yes.
number 4.
And
Do I have to make a?
I don't know, I moved, so I need a second.
I
Second, okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're moving forward, and Hirsch, will you bring that with you to your meeting as well? Okay, excellent.
Michael,
Um,
you made the motion, right?
I did.
Oh, you did,
Well,
okay.
he did first, and then I
I-
did it with the amendment.
I just came up with the idea of voting today. I don't know if that officially counted as a motion.
I made the motion.
Okay, you made the motion,
I made the motion.
and David, you seconded.
Hirsch did.
Hirsch did, thank you.
Okay,
Dawn, I'll send you what I've got.
perfect, thank you.
Then you can send a copy to me.
The only other main topic I wanted to bring back from that meeting is that, previous to that meeting, I went to the CDEC meeting, to receive feedback for the NTMP, and in that discussion, it was brought to my attention that when an idea is brought to us, or a concern, I should say, and we go through the analysis with the city staff, but then nothing, I have two thoughts here in mind. When speeding is the concern and our staff does their analysis and determines that there's actually not as much speeding, there's no speeding as perceived, that there's a way to help the person who brought the concern forward to understand the difference by having maybe a video or it was recommended to have them actually go there with the staff member to see the difference. So I brought this forward, and Chief Copeland agreed it was a good idea to have a way of sharing this, because I requested we have a video that shows the difference between perception and what's actually on the device itself showing the speed. And he recommended we, he just said out loud, it's a great project for a McNary audio video student to work on, putting together this. And then what I feel is if it's available to us, then if that scenario comes to our committee, we can refer them to the video to see how that actually works together. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mike.
That makes sense. The only thing I would say is when we're talking about, there's the perception of speeding, but then they do the analysis and, hey, people are all doing the speed limit, maybe a little bit above, maybe a little bit below, but the majority are, in that little zone. But that doesn't address, are the speeds, posted speeds, correct for the context? And so I don't want it to make people feel like, oh, well, you're feeling like there's speeding going on, but hey, look, the data says they're around the speed limit. Because, yeah, there's the perception of speeding, but there's also people not feeling comfortable because the speed limits are set too high.
I hear what you're saying. I think that's a different topic. If it's brought to us not indicating speeding, we can prove that they are not speeding, and then if they feel they're unsafe, then that is another conversation to have after that.
Okay, so as long as people understand that we've done the analysis and it shows that they're not speeding, but there's that next step that if you still feel like it needs to be a reduced speed limit, there is still that step to take.
And that's a conversation we can have when the time comes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will follow up on that topic when school starts, and there's a chance we can implement that as something available to us as a tool to share. The only other thing is, what did I hear?
Got a phone call.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard my name. Mr. Dempster, you and I have terms that end at the end of this year. And on that topic, I'm considering us as a committee coming up with a set of questions or a rubric to help the volunteer committee when a new member is coming on board to have some understanding of what it is we do, what we're looking for. And then anybody who is wanting to join our committee understands what they're in for. Yes, Hirsch?
Historically, I was told no.
But they're already implementing this.
Good.
So the
it's
CDC
something
has already
that's needed.
started this conversation.
Yeah, it's something that's been needed for a long time.
So what I'm bringing it up now because I want all of us to brainstorm what that would look like, and then let's have a conversation here sooner than later about how to bring that forward. Okay? Thank you. Lastly, the NTMP is scheduled. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Ethan.
One question. It's sort of related kind of to the term endings. When I applied for this position here, I think my last meeting may have been August, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I just wanted to check in and see what my term length was. Because there was kind of some confusion because it was like, I think the ideal member was for someone still in high school, and I'm a graduate now, so I was just curious.
I do remember that, and I don't know what the date was that.
Okay.
that
I thought it was
that ended.
lifetime, wasn't it? Lifetime?
We're not letting you leave.
And what
Don, do you
school
have
is he
insight?
going to?
I'm going to OSU.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought we had to bring that up.
My recollection of his interview was that it was up to him to decide. You talked about August, but then if you felt like you needed to leave to prepare for school, to get ready, it was totally up to you.
Okay, I'm okay with going longer. I just, the next meeting date conflicts with my move-in schedule, so I wouldn't be able to attend then, but it's still something I'd be willing to do in the future, so.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, Mike.
Not that I'm trying to show you the door, but when
Yeah.
the time does come, could we or should we have someone or some members of the committee go to the high school? Because I'm assuming that's who we'd be looking at, and kind of do a presentation. I don't know how they do that, maybe on career day or something when they do, to kind of gin up some interest.
I don't know what outreach looks like on this. Does anybody know?
It has to start with the principal.
Mayor
And
Clark.
It's been Counselor Laura Reed.
Yeah.
And also our youth counselor has also been very active in recruiting. But if we can put together materials and some outreach to the leadership program, AVID, to some of the AP classes or other classes that you think would be really relevant for students that would be interested, I think they would welcome that. And so if the committee wants to work on something that, a recruitment flyer, be willing to go and talk with students at the school, I think that would be a very welcome thing.
Ethan, would you mind working with us on, from your perspective, what we can say to appeal to someone in high school?
Okay, yeah,
That would be great.
okay.
So maybe, you said you can't attend next month, but if you have ideas, you can throw to Dawn and she can share with us. And then we can discuss this in addition to the rubric / questions that we were just talking about. That would be great. Thank
Okay,
you.
Yeah, no worries.
And enjoy your move-in. That could be really exciting. Okay, so the NTMP will be presented to City Council on September 16th. We are finally wrapping that up. So that will be the final conversation. Bill has it to present. I will be there as well if anybody wants to join and hear the conversation. I welcome it. That is all I have. Anybody have, oh, sorry, we don't have staff for their reports. Mayor Clark, what do you have for us?
Thank you very much. Actually, the main thing I wanted to bring tonight was this change to your Appendix A. And thank you for working through that with me on such short notice. I think it'll get this done, and it is even something that, because it's not on the published agenda, I don't believe, for next week, but it can be walked on. So if Hirsch wants to bring that with and that you have adopted it, we can walk it on and take it up under other business and just put that one to bed.
Excellent.
So I'd like to do that. The rapid flashing beacon over by Keizer Elementary will be ready for when school starts. I really appreciate Bill Lawyer and his team working hard to get it done. At first, he was not sure they could get the parts in time, and he under-promised and, as always, over-delivered. So that will be there for the students. I'm really happy with that change.
Yes, they've been working on that all week, I've noticed.
Yeah. Construction. And then, yes, striping is being done all over town. So the person who came and testified is correct, that Liam, that, yeah, striping is happening all over town. So a lot of the paint is being refreshed as per the contract with Marion County. So
Thank you.
that is happening. That's all I got.
Okay. Anything, last words? All right then, thank you all for hanging out with us so long today. We are adjourned.